All right, I'm going to try to start this program and see if I can keep control of things. I don't know if I can because I can't see my mouse as well, but I hope I can. So if I start this, I hope you all, I'm gonna unmute if I can figure out how to get to that. I can't. More, unmute on. Now, all participants are unmuted at this point, and I don't know what you're seeing. So if you'll talk to me a little bit and make sure that I'm not showing you something you don't need to see, like all these participants, are you seeing that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I'm only seeing one, and you.
I'm seeing 4 at a time.
Sorry, see the 4 at the bottom. Are you seeing the list of participants?
Ray, I don't quite understand what you're asking, but I'm seeing your slide, your screen. More
All right.
stories from Secret City.
Yeah, that's what I want you to see.
I'm
And that
surprised everyone's not seeing the same thing I'm seeing.
I see the screen, and then on the side are the pictures of the participants.
All right,
That's
that's good. All right, you've told me what I need to know. I'm comfortable that we can move ahead from this because you're seeing the slide, and I'm trying to be sure that if someone else tries to get in, I can let them in, and I think I can do that. My problem is I can't see my mouse very well, so I have to look for it to highlight. At any rate, let's start, and I think I have some instructions here for us. There. I'd like you to keep your microphone muted. I'm not going to mute all unless I have to, but if you will control your microphone and keep it muted until you want to speak. I think if you use the speaker view, you'll see a large image of the person speaking, or at this point, while I'm sharing the screen, you'll see a large image of the slide that I'm trying to show. And I think this grid view may actually be a gallery view. I'm not sure exactly what the word is, but there's an option for looking at everyone who's on the screen if you want to choose that. If you use the speaker view, I think you'll see a few of the participants either on your right-hand side or down at the bottom, and you'll see the image that I'm trying to show you in the main part of your screen. I have someone trying to get in, so let me see if I can get over here and help them in. Oh, this is aggravating because I can't see where my mouse is. I need to get it over that and leave it. Ah, there we are. Almost got it. Oh, I'm changing slides, aren't I? Oh, this is not good. Okay, I got a couple of people that I need to get in, so I'm going to go do it. Now I got that. Stop here. All right. Please be patient with me. I promise you we will get there. Oh, that's not good. I don't know how to show my, all right, more participants. Okay, I'm back in control, barely. I may have to stop and go let some people in again. We have 25 participants now, and I'm going to try to move forward until someone else comes up that I need to let in, and I'll try to let them in. Alternate method to ask questions, of course. One is to use the chat. If you'll get your controls to come up, there's a chat option, and I will keep that chat option open. Let me get it open now. More chat, so that people can communicate to me, or you can communicate to everyone, just like Linda McLaren has said, I see your slide. And I appreciate that. I'll keep that open so I can see what people are saying, and keep the participants open so I can let people in. An alternate method to ask question, of course, is just unmute your microphone and ask the question. And I will accept them that way as well. All right, we've got some of the basics out of the way. Let's see. I do really want to encourage you to ask questions. If you ask questions on the chat or verbally, I will stop my screen sharing, and we'll answer those questions. And I will stop periodically through this presentation this morning and try to encourage questions, open it up so we can all be unmuted and share back and forth, and just to make sure that I'm getting questions that you want answered, that I'm addressing those. I have a couple of things that I want to share with you, of course, but more importantly, I want to answer your questions. So, as you know, we've just had a first launch of a United States rocket and taking 2 individuals up to the space station. And I know some of you have seen this video before, but I love it, and I want you to watch it with me again as a reminder of Y12 and Oak Ridge's participation with NASA. So let's take just a moment and see if we can get this video of the moon box to run. The Apollo Lunar Sample Return Container, or moon box, made 6 trips: the Apollo 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17. In those 6 missions, these boxes brought back 842 pounds of material from the lunar surface. That material is still being used today in research centers around the world. Very valuable research information being gained from it. All brought back in boxes made at Y12.
5, 4, 3, 2. Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. That's 1 small step for man, 1 giant leap for mankind.
It has been 40 years since the Apollo 11 astronauts became the first humans to walk on the moon. This giant leap for mankind would capture the imagination of the entire planet. It would also provide a vital resource for scientific discovery. The moon's surface was a mystery, its soil untested. The astronauts' mission: gather rocks and other lunar materials for study back on Earth. The challenge for NASA scientists: how to safeguard this precious cargo on its journey home. Extreme temperatures of heat and cold could corrupt the material, contaminating the samples the astronauts had gathered. The vibration of the spacecraft could also damage the moon rocks. Upon its return, the lunar substances would need to be kept in a vacuum, protecting them from biological contamination found in Earth's atmosphere. For the mission to succeed, a sturdy container of remarkable craftsmanship would have to be created. For the answer to this dilemma, NASA turned to the team at Y12 in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Known for its innovation and craftsmanship, Y-12 brought all its resources to bear on the challenge of creating the container. NASA provided Y-12 with over 200 pages of specifications for the box. Special facilities and tools were built for its construction. A quality assurance program was put in place specifically for the project. Y-12's best engineers and machinists came together to create a marvel of the space age. The vessel for the lunar material was officially called the Apollo Lunar Sample Return Container. The moon box, as it came to be known, was built to withstand the rigors of space travel. Machined from a solid piece of aluminum, the box was seamless, with the exception of the lid. Where the lid met the bottom half of the container, a triple metal seal was used to preserve the vacuum of space. 4 metal straps secured the lid, protecting the valuable cargo inside. NASA would launch 6 Apollo missions carrying 2 moon boxes each. Using gathering equipment designed at Y-12, astronauts collected pieces of the moon for study. Between 1969 and 1972, over 800 pounds of lunar material was safely brought back to Earth using Y-12's moon boxes. The success of the Apollo Lunar Sample Return Container proved the team of Y-12 had the right stuff to meet NASA's demanding specifications.
And liftoff of Endeavour.
The Moonbox project would lead to Y-12's ongoing role in America's space program. Today, the lunar samples brought home by the Apollo astronauts continue to offer the world's scientists a valuable source of discovery. The knowledge gained from this study was made possible by the team of can-do professionals at Y-12. Their spirit of invention, exploration, and pride lives on at the Y-12 National Security Complex. As humans look to the stars for our next giant leap, Y-12 will be there, providing innovation for future generations.
Hope you've enjoyed viewing these images of the Apollo space program featuring Y-12's Moonbox. There's one on display here in the Y-12 History Center. We welcome you and your family to drop by at any time and see the other exhibits that are available here in the Y-12 History Center. So I obviously made that video at the 40th anniversary, and I've been sharing it since the 50th anniversary quite often. And I will tell you that the box went to Dallas. The box that we have on display at Y-12 went to Dallas when they were having the first meeting to plan on travel to Mars. They wanted to set it up on the stage and drape it in a black cloth, and then at the appropriate time to unveil it and say, this is the design of the box that had been used to bring material back from the moon. Now we need to design one for bringing material back from Mars. Interestingly enough, the gentleman that took the box down there asked me if he could do it. And I told him, sure, but you have to keep it in your possession at all times. You can't check it. You're going to have to carry it through. Oh, he said, how am I going to get through security at the airport? I said, I suggest you call ahead and tell them you're bringing an aluminum box through. He did, and it went through fine. So we didn't have any trouble there. Just a little about myself, not much. I want to share some information with you. I've been in Oak Ridge 49 years now. Born in a little crossroads community in Middle Tennessee. I wrote a book about Delina. The book is a bestseller. All 25 people that live there bought a copy. So, married Fanny, and what I want to focus on today with you is the Vietnam veteran. I want to take just a minute and share with you an experience that we've had. Fanny and I have been traveling since retirement, and the one that is the highlight of all of our travels is my trip to Normandy. and I want to share that trip with you. That's the monument at the American Cemetery in Omaha Beach. And that's a photo of 4 Vietnam veterans together under that monument. Now, I'm going to show you a little slideshow that will tell you the story about this visit, I hope. Of our travels to Europe, the one that stands out most for me is the trip Fanny and I took to Normandy. We were on a cruise into Paris, and 150 people on that cruise went and spent the day in Normandy. As you remember, 2,000 Americans were killed on Omaha Beach in Normandy on June the 6th, 1944. The American cemetery where those soldiers are buried is just about 100 yards from the Omaha Beach. Now, this sculpture that's here in this image is on the landing portion of the beach as a memorial to those soldiers. As we arrived at the monument there at the American Cemetery, the monument is a large statue of a young man coming up out of the water. And the group of 150 of us gathered around there, and they had a ceremony. They wanted to lay a wreath at the bottom of that monument, and the MC asked if there were any veterans in the audience that wanted to lay that wreath. So I held up my hand and went up with 2 others came up. So the 3 of us veterans actually laid the wreath at the base of the monument. Then the MC said, if there are others in the audience, other veterans, if you would come up, we'd like to honor you as well. About 20 other veterans came up, and she went through all of the standard thank you for your service and honoring the veterans, recognizing us. And then when she finished, the man standing beside me just turned to me and he said, "Welcome home." Now that's a dead giveaway that he's a Vietnam vet, because we didn't get welcomed home. We in fact didn't even wear our uniforms when we came home. So recognizing that, I just said to him, "When were you in country?" And he said 1968 and 69. Now, I want you to know that time stood still for me here. I was not prepared for this. It only lasted a few seconds. But immediately after he said that, 2 other men standing beside us at the same time said, "I was there in 1968 and 69. So here's what we have: 4 Vietnam veterans who were there at the same time, looking at each other, not needing to say anything, because we all knew what our experience was and we could identify with one another. Standing over to the side, just taking some pictures, was my wife, Fanny. And one of the pictures we noticed later was of the 4 of us standing there beneath that monument. Again, I was not prepared emotionally for this event. I don't talk about my time in Vietnam. I've only spoken about it one time. A good friend of mine, Dan Hurst, asked me to speak at the Knoxville Area Rescue Missions Veterans Dinner for homeless veterans, and I couldn't turn him down. But I told Fanny afterwards, that's the last time. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. But this time was really something special for me. I was not prepared for the emotional impact that having those 4 of us Vietnam veterans standing there at the same time, each recalling our own unique experience, but all 4 of us having a shared experience of being there at the same time. This is a shot of the cemetery, the American cemetery. And I just want you to appreciate the size of the cemetery and just how huge and how many crosses are there. As it pans on around, you can actually see the ocean and see the Omaha Beach, just again a few yards from the American cemetery. Okay. Thank you for letting me reminisce back to that. I'm going to take you through one more thing and then we're going to stop for questions. But I want you to see this. We had an opportunity, Fanny and I did, in February to go to a private roundtable in Vail, Colorado. This resulted from a tour that I gave to Oak Ridge, tour of Oak Ridge. Oh, I got someone wanting in over here. Let me figure out how to let Earl and all in. Well, you're going to have to let me get control here. Okay, I got them in. So the roundtable that I want to share with you happened in Vail, Colorado back in February. And it started out as history, a tour of Oak Ridge. I give tours to single families, to 65 passenger buses, and I give several tours up until the pandemic hit. I was giving several tours a month, 2 and 3 a week at times. Typical tours are up at the guest house, the Friendship Bell, up by the Chapel on the Hill, and all sizes of groups. But this one group came through that was not a typical tour. They had a group of 4 couples. They requested a tour, and the first thing they wanted was for me to meet them, get in their van, and go to a lunch at Calhoun's. Well, when the van drove up, it was being driven by a chauffeur. And when they got to Calhoun's, I figured out they had rented the entire event center for one table of lunch sandwiches. So I knew this was not a standard tour. This one was going to be different. And it was. We gave the tour, everything finished up. And I thought, well, that's the end of that. That was a unique tour. Obviously, that fella has a lot of money, more than he knows what to do with. But I got an email invitation, and that made me do a Google search. The invitation was to come to Vail, Colorado, and all I had to do was use frequent flyer miles to get there. Everything else was paid for: hotels, meals, skiing, dog sledding, and snowmobiling, all paid for. Round table twice each day, and entertainment in the evening. This is a picture of the round table. It's in this man's garage. You'll notice on the right side of the picture, those are garage doors. And he's put up a tent out there to a covered, heated tent. And we met each day for the round table. Now, the round table was from 8 to 12 in the morning, and then from 4:30 to 7 at night for 4 days. Each participant was given time to make a presentation. All of them were engaging and exciting presentations. And then I'm going to share with you a bit of the uniqueness about each person that was invited to this roundtable and allowed to discuss interesting things. What happens is this guy goes around, he travels, he's retired now. After I Googled him, I figured out that in 2003, he was worth 800 million. So I figured he was able to afford what we were doing. So we went out there and enjoyed this, and he travels around the world actually. And when he meets people that has interesting information he thinks would be good to share, he has this roundtable once a year. So I want to share with you the people that we met and are still in contact with, by the way, at that round table. So some of the individuals, there was a winner of the first, this is Billy Kidd. He's a winner of a downhill skiing competition. First one won by an American, I believe. And it's his medals. The man standing, you got three standing there. The one to the right, not the fourth one standing over there, but the one in the middle is the person who set the round tables up. And again, there were about 25 of us there. There he is, and he made the arrangements, and it was a wonderful experience. This is George Gruen from Nashville, who was there. He's a guitar salesman and has a guitar store in Nashville. He was one of the invited guests. And the adventures, dog sledding on Thursday. I did photography on Friday. It's supposed to be skiing. I rode the gondola up to the top of the ski slopes, took pictures, and then rode the gondola back down. I didn't figure a 74-year-old man needed to try to ski for the first time in many years at Vail, Colorado. And then I went snowmobiling on Saturday. And this is a picture of the dog sleds and some of the scenes from up at the top of the ski slopes. And the next one should be the snowmobiling. Beautiful time in Vail, Colorado. We thoroughly enjoyed our time there. Now, those are the ski slopes viewed from a mountain across the valley of the, and this is the entertainment in the evenings. When this little video starts, I want you to notice the person leading the dance. He'll be in a wheelchair, and then two people, I believe, behind him, two or three. Notice that there's a young girl, 16-year-old girl, who has no legs. Very interesting people. The young lady that's there without any legs is a Russian girl who was adopted. And at age 14, she had birth defects, had no muscles in the lower part of her legs. At age 14, she decided to have her legs amputated. And she did, and she's now a multi-sport challenged athlete and one of the mighty Ducks in California ice hockey. So these are some of the people invited, and I want to show you some of them. This is a picture that we had made on the stairs down to the dining area of all of the people who came. An adventure marketing professional, a world-renowned underwater explorer, a magician and his wife. The magician stole my watch off of my arm without me knowing he took it. The Russian girl I talked about, a Colombian director of the largest petroleum company in Colombia, former lead solo pilot for the Blue Angels. And I wear a blue wrist bracelet now. I've never worn one of these. And I'm wearing one now that says glad to be here. When the Blue Angels finish one of their shows, they come in for a debrief. And when they get in for their debriefing, the first thing they say to one another is, I'm just glad to be here. The guitar manufacturer I mentioned, the zookeeper in the Denver Zoo was there. First American man to earn an Olympic medal in alpine skiing, Billy Kidd, I showed you him. Man who unearthed the largest dinosaur ever found, and the retired commander of SEAL Team 6. He had retired just before SEAL Team 6 took out Osama bin Laden. When the man that actually shot bin Laden was being interviewed, he asked for Don Mann to come back, the retired commander, and be with him when he was interviewed. So, and Don Mann has written several books about SEAL Team 6. Very interesting individual. Again, the picture of those people. There's the one that's in the wheelchair is a retired Navy SEAL. He was wounded in a mission and lost the use of his legs. An executive vice president for medical affairs and system chief clinical officer of health services of Long Island. Now, don't you know he's been right in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic? We've stayed in touch with these people, and we've shared with him through Zoom as he's been battling the pandemic in New York. And also there's another doctor, the chair of the Mayo Clinic, who is out in California, again, right in the middle of the pandemic. The founder of Celestial Seasoning, the tea company, he was there. A sculpture that makes natural history and prehistoric life models for museums, including the Smithsonian. The founder and chairman of the Himalayan Cataract Project, does cataract surgery on people over in that area. Again, some wonderful people. An acrobatic pilot recognized as a legendary aviator, Emmy Award-winning television and film producer. That Las Vegas musician I talked to you about, interestingly enough, he picked the pockets of President Carter's Secret Service staff and got their visit itinerary, their badges, and the keys to their motorcade without them knowing it. And then a lifelong student of magic and sleight of hand who shot the bullet that David, I forget his name now, it's there, but I can't see it, caught in his mouth. And then, of course, Ray and Fannie Smith. Can you imagine us in the middle of that group of people, all because I had given a tour of the city of Oak Ridge to a group of people that had put on this event. Some really amazing people there. Now, this was a close call for Fannie. Fannie has a lung condition, sarcoidosis, and she had really had a lot of trouble breathing when we were in Vail, up over 8,000 feet. But she had dinner with Bob Lazier, sat beside her, and they talked the entire meal. Fannie's a good listener, so they had a good conversation. We had no idea, but soon after returning home, we learned that both he and his wife had tested positive for the virus and was in the hospital. On Saturday, 4/18/2020, we learned of his death. He's there shown with Scott Carpenter, one of the astronauts, and others. And he was he won the Rookie of the Year back in the 1980s for his racing, and that was a close call. I'm sure that he was not contaminated at the time, because Fannie's had no ill results of that, but he must have gotten the virus immediately after we left him in Vail, Colorado. So we are staying in touch with these people. We use Zoom meetings and have been able to maintain contact with them, and it's been just a tremendous experience that I wanted to share with you, all because I gave a tour of Oak Ridge. Now, I'm gonna stop the share just a minute, and let's see, there's someone wanting in, so let me let that person in. Close that and ask if there are any questions. So, what branch of service were you in? I was in the Air Force and served a year in Vietnam. I was an electronic technician, spent time in Biloxi, Mississippi, and of course, San Antonio, Texas. And then we were in Warner Robins, Georgia for the last few months before I got a job offer in Oak Ridge, came to Oak Ridge right out of the Air Force. And by the way, I was hired because of my Air Force experience. There was a retired Air Force colonel who was brought into my interview, and when he asked me what I had done in the Air Force. And I told him that while I was in Vietnam, I had created a early warning radio system for the base there, Tan Son Nhut Air Force Base. And he wanted to know more about that. We called it Giant Voice. What I did was took an old piece of radio gear and tuned it up to an AM station. The base commander wanted a way to warn the base that rockets were coming in. This is right after the Tet Offensive. And I told him, I said, listen, everybody on the base listens to radio. They love music. So let's play music on a radio station 24 hours a day, put a microphone on your desk. And when you want to talk to the base, you just key that microphone. And it did, and it worked. Now, I want you to know that right before I retired at Y-12, I had a tour of people come through. Normally and they were Air Force, they were military. And normally when I have a tour that has mostly military, at the end of the tour, I'll find some way to say to them that I'm a Vietnam veteran, just to identify with them and let them know that that's the case. And I did that on this tour. And when they got off, the colonel that was leading the tour, as they come off the bus, I shake their hand. I do that every time. And as he came off, he took me by the arm and said, just sort of led me to the side. And he said, what did you do in Vietnam? Well, you didn't have much time. I quickly told him that we installed something called Giant Voice that was a warning system for the base. He said, do you know that every Air Force base has a Giant Voice? I said, no. And I don't think we were the first. I think that was just a common name for all of the PA systems on bases. So what questions do you have? Let me make sure that everyone is unmuted, and you are. If you have some questions that you'd like for me to address about Oak Ridge history, if you'll either send them to me in chat or just speak up now and ask your question, we'll spend a little bit of time here on those before we move ahead, all right? Surely you've got a question.
Ray, this is Trig Meyer.
Yes, Trig.
When you started at Y-12, what was your position?
I started at Y-12 as an electrician. I worked in building 9737 in the electrical department. A.K. Johnson interviewed me. You'll remember A.K. And I worked there as an electrician for 7 years. And then I was interviewed for a promotion. And the promotion was going to be to a planner estimator, a weekly position. And Dave Jennings and A.K. Johnson both interviewed me for that position. And one of the questions, you'll remember both those individuals, they were managers in maintenance. And Dave Jennings was known to be a tough manager. Actually, he was a kind-hearted gentleman at heart, but he put off a pretty rough exterior. And so they were interviewing me, and Dave Jennings asked the question. He said, Ray, if you had no limit on resources, you had all the money you could spend that you wanted to, what's the one thing you would do to improve Y-12? I said, I would put in a supervisory training program because these supervisors don't understand how to manage people. He took his fist and slammed it down on the table real hard and said, AK, I told you we needed some training for our supervisors. Well, I got the promotion, and about 3 years later, I had the opportunity to put in a training program for the plant. I was working, I had gone from maintenance up to the human resources department. And I had found this training program that I thought was a good one called Interaction Management. And it was about people skills. It had 3 key principles: maintain or enhance self-esteem, listen and respond with empathy, and ask for help in solving the problem. Now, those 3 key principles, as you can tell, I still remember today. I took that to Dave Jennings and I said, Mr. Jennings, we're getting a lot of, let me admit this person. And then Okay, so I went to Mr. Jennings and I said, Mr. Jennings, I got that training program. Here it is. And I outlined it for him, showed him what it was. And he said, Ray, that's just an old touchy feel good program. It won't work at Y12. I said, yes, sir, it will. That's exactly what the people need. They don't understand how to interact to get something out of folks without pushing them and making hard feelings. He said, okay, Ray, I'll let you do it on one condition. I said, what's that? He said, if you'll train AK to be one of the instructors. And the middle managers had to be the instructors. So I said, okay. I took AK up to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, spent a week with him, coached him every night until I got him certified as an instructor. Came back and showed the certificate to Mr. Jennings, and he laughed. He said, okay, Ray, you can implement the program. AK never taught a class, but I got the program in. So I hired in as an electrician and spent most of my time in the maintenance department. I became the associate director for maintenance. And then we had a change. We were a government-owned contractor-operated facility, and they change contractors periodically. Normally, when they change contractors, they just bring in a president and a lawyer, and the rest of us just keep doing our jobs. We call ourselves weebies. We be here before you came. We'll be here when you're gone. But in 2000, the contract changed, and they brought in 100 people, replaced the entire top of the organization, so I lost my job. First thing they had to do was to find 800 buildings and in a due diligence study. I helped them do that. And then they got some money to tear down old Manhattan project structures, and bless their hearts, they didn't know which ones to tear down. I helped them identify that. And then I told them, you're losing a lot of history when you tear these buildings down. And they said, okay, Ray. They figured me out by then. They said, what is it you want to do about that? I said, I'll be your historian until I retire. And I did. For 10 years, I was the historian at the Y12 National Security Complex. And for the past 5 years, I've been the historian for the city of Oak Ridge, with some enormous opportunities, as you can tell. The trip to Vail, Colorado, just amazing history that we have here in Oak Ridge that unfortunately I don't think we appreciate as much as we should. And of course, opening the K-25 History Center is going to help, and getting these museums back will help.
When did you retire from Y12?
I retired from Y12 in November of 2017.
Wow.
So
how did you become the historian?
I became the historian because I lost my job as a maintenance manager, and then a new contractor needed my help in identifying buildings to tear down. And then when I told them they were losing a lot of history, they allowed me to become the historian. And I created that job, if you will. We actually built the History Center there in the New Hope Center, and started doing tours of Y12, unheard of. We hadn't allowed people to know much about Y12 up until then. In the Cold War, actually Y12 just said, you know, dump a lot of money out here, tell us how many nuclear weapons secondaries you want, and don't bother us anymore. And that's what we did. But after the Cold War ended, Y12's posture was a little different. They needed to have better community relations, and I was glad to be able to be a small part in helping to do that. All of the new people coming into Y12, I got to train them. I got to take them on tours. I got to help them to understand the heritage, the great heritage that exists at Y12 that helps maintain our freedom as a nation, and has provided help all over the world. I mean, between the Oak Ridge National Laboratory and Y12, if there's any highly enriched uranium anywhere in the world that's liable to or could possibly come into the possession of terrorists, they'll go get it and bring it back here. We actually run some of that material is being run through TVA's nuclear reactors now. A third of the lights in your home are being powered by electricity produced by nuclear power plants that actually have fueled or being fueled by former Soviet Union nuclear weapons material. So Y12 has and Oak Ridge has a tremendous worldwide mission that, and our history is just outstanding. So that's how I got to be the historian, and then I got to be the Oak Ridge historian, and it's a delight. I've enjoyed doing it for what now, some 12, 15 years. Thanks for that question. Other questions?
A practical question. Are
Yeah.
you going to send us a link every week, or do we use the same one?
I think you use the same one. It's a recurring meeting. I've set it up for 3 weeks, and the same one will come up each week. So I think you just need to click on the same one. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to go back to sharing the screen, and then we'll go on with the presentation. I'm going to leave you unmuted, so if you have a question, just start talking, and I will hear you, and we'll stop and we'll address your question. I think the questions are more important than the material that I'm sharing with you, but I do want you to ask those questions. So let me see if I don't see anyone wanting in. We've got 31 people on here now, and I really appreciate you joining us. And I'm gonna leave you unmuted, share the screen, and we'll go back and see what we've got next here. All right. Yeah. And we talked about that. Want you to ask questions. So let me point out, I talked about the importance of Oak Ridge. Let me point out some of the local points of interest that I think we can be reminded of. Of course, you recognize the Friendship Bell. Let me wait just a minute. Let me get something else. I need to be able to see these people if anybody wants in. So let me get that up. All right, I got it, I think. Okay, now, museums. We've got the American Museum of Science and Energy. It's going to be opening again in June. They're going to start this week with just some people in there getting things ready and getting it set for opening. And it should be opening in a couple of weeks or at some point in June. The Oak Ridge History Museum, excuse me, I just got a poll from the museum committee asking questions about how we should reopen. So they're thinking about and are planning to reopen. I'm hoping that it'll be sometime in June as well. I think it will. Children's Museum, they're now open 3 days a week, I believe. The Y12 History Center, not sure when that will be open again. I would have to check on it. But again, if you go up to the door will be locked. If you'll just push the button for the intercom, they will let you into the History Center. If in fact it's open again, and I believe it is. But the K25 History Center will open at the same time the American Museum of Science and Energy opens. Now, I want to show you a little video about our museums.
Ray, we have no
Ray,
picture.
we have no visual. Sound, we have no visual.
I'm sorry.
We have no picture. We have
No
music, but no picture.
You have no picture.
Yeah, music, but no picture.
Well, that's crazy. Wait just a minute. Let me stop the share. And then go back, share the screen. Oh, I see why you don't. What are you seeing now?
And now we've got it. Now we're seeing you.
Okay, hold on a second. See it now?
I'm seeing you.
Okay.
We saw it the second time you had it up.
Okay.
But nobody when you
All right.
asked. So now we're not seeing it, but we were seeing it for a few minutes.
All right, tell me what you're seeing now.
Seeing
It's
you.
a gallery.
Are you
We're not
seeing
seeing
it?
your screen right now.
So you're still not seeing it, huh?
Well, we did see it, but
We're
now
seeing the gallery view.
we're just seeing our view. We're not seeing your shared screen.
Okay.
But we were. So you did something right, and then
Yeah, I
you
know.
stopped it because nobody told you what we were seeing, so you stopped it.
I gotta get it again. So we're back to where you're seeing me now, right?
Yeah, the gallery view. Mhm.
You're part of the gallery.
If I do the share screen and go to desktop, share, it don't like
Yeah,
it.
just this.
It's looking right.
We're yeah, but that's what he's doing.
So now I gotta go back to this and to this. Now, what are you seeing now?
We're seeing a history trip to Oak Ridge.
All right,
Y12
good.
Manhattan.
Now I'm gonna
It's your
click
screen.
on watch the video. Now what are you seeing?
We're seeing the video. We're seeing a person. We're not hearing it yet. Okay, now we're hearing it
And seeing it.
and seeing it. Seeing your screen.
Okay, good. I'm not going to enlarge the screen because I think that's what I messed up.
See your whole desktop. Go to full screen. Yeah, right there.
Now, thank you all so much. Now what I need to do, I got to get back. Let's stop.
Ray, did you make that movie about the museums?
Explore Oak Ridge made those. And I want to show you one more that I did help. I helped on that one too, but I want to show you one that I, on the History Museum. Let me see how to get to it. Share that. Now, I appreciate your all's patience for helping me to get these. Now, Knox is sitting on. All right, let's go here. And K25, that one. All right, now let's go down to this one. Watch this video. And start it and enlarge it. You seeing it? The Oak Ridge History Museum is a place where you can come and experience the Manhattan Project era and what the people were like and how they lived. The alphabet houses are here. The toy room is here. You can see the things that they experienced during the Manhattan Project. This museum came into being because of the transition of the American Museum of Science and Energy, where they transferred it to a new location and were not able to include all of the history of the city. So the Oak Ridge Heritage and Preservation Association has formed the Oak Ridge History Museum to focus on the people history of the city of Oak Ridge. So come and learn about the secret city of Oak Ridge during the Manhattan Project, what the people actually experienced who were here during that time. All right, let's stop that share and go back to here. Now one more, I think.
A promise made in the dark.
Well, we're here at the K25 History Center. It's taken us a number of years to get.
Ray, we're not seeing your video this time.
We're very
We're
proud.
not seeing it. We're hearing it, but we're not seeing it.
Thank you. I don't know what I did wrong. Hold on. Let's get out of that. Are you seeing that?
No.
No, just the gallery view right
You
now.
need to push the share screen.
Okay. Now you see that? See the image of the video?
See your desktop.
On my desktop. Okay, good. Now let's do that. To see what K25 really did. That is, enrich the uranium that helped to provide the feed material to White Whale that produced that uranium-235 for little. Now, you learn more than just that technical information. You'll learn about the people. You'll learn about the work that they did. And the pride that went into the work that was done during the Cold War, where this uranium produced here at K25 actually went into the nuclear weapons that have helped us to preserve the peace for all these, some 75 years now without a global conflict. There are a number of artifacts here, all the way from the criticality response unit to the bicycle that they rode inside the huge 1 mile long U-shaped building, to the other things like scales and other pieces of equipment. Just a myriad of things here that were actually part of this K25 gaseous diffusion process. I don't have a clue why that Dodge is in there, but I don't want to see it anymore. Thank you all for your patience as I've tried to show these videos. I got to get rid of that one. It'll come back again and kill me.
The trail of discovery and development leading to the design and construction.
Sorry. All right, get rid of that. Now I'm back and I'm going back to my presentation. And one more video and then we'll quit on the videos.
All right, for years, K25 in Oak Ridge was a secret site for uranium enrichment. The new
Are you
museum
seeing it?
celebrates the people who work here.
No, we're not seeing it, but we are hearing it.
I don't know why that happens that way. All right, let me
25 History Center.
stop it. Get down. I got to get it to where you're seeing it on my screen. Wait just a second. Now
And
there,
then you need to push share screen.
I
Share
don't,
screen.
I'm getting, you got it now, right?
Yes, yes.
All right, and we'll do a
Opens later
forward.
this week. Emily
and we'll
Stroud
dig it.
gives us a sneak peek.
You got it?
Outside,
Yes.
it's an unassuming brick building, but inside, the K25 History Center is so interesting. I'm with Ray Smith, who's the Oak Ridge historian. And Ray, what is the mission of the History Center?
Well, the History Center is going to give the public a view of the K25 gaseous diffusion process like they've never seen before. Actual artifacts are here, and you can learn about the largest building in the world in 1944.
It's divided into different galleries. What are we seeing over here?
Well, what you're seeing over there, the yellow truck-like thing, that's a criticality response unit. In case there were something to happen, then they needed to stop that event, stop that criticality, they would bring that unit in, and it would have borinated water. The boron would stop the neutrons, absorb the neutrons, and stop the criticality. So it was a response unit for an emergency.
You've got a lot of artifacts here, legitimate, not just make-believe, just like that. What are some of the more interesting ones, do you believe?
Well, there are all kinds of artifacts here that come out of the actual operation of the K25 gaseous diffusion building. So if you look at anything, it's probably associated with that process. Now, there is one here that I'll mention, the little boy model of the bomb. Now, you know K25 helped to produce the uranium that was used in that first atomic bomb.
Oral histories and hearing from the people involved is such a part of this interactive museum. Why is that so important?
Oh, the oral histories, you just can't replace the people who actually lived the history. And we have those collected in the Oak Ridge Public Library has a system for them. But here in this museum, we're going to be able to create oral histories. If you want to come and tell your story, that will be a part of what the experience in the museum will allow.
Thank you so much, Ray Smith. And you can experience starting Thursday. The History Museum is going to open. It'll be open every day to the public, and it's free.
All right, Emily, the grand opening set for 10:30, and it is this Thursday.
Pardon me while I get rid of this. Or it'll start playing something else. All right, got rid of it. Gone. Now back and share my slide. So I want to quickly end with just a few more comments. We're getting really close to 10:40. The commemorative walk, the Friendship Bell, the guest house, Chapel on the Hill, birth of the city monuments, the gatehouses. Those are all things that we have in Oak Ridge that we can share with people who are not aware. Now, next week, I promise you, we will get into the Manhattan Project National Historical Park much more. But it's up at the Children's Museum in the main lobby. The Alexander Guest House main lobby is a part of the park, as are two buildings at Y12. By the way, I'm hoping that building 9731 will become more available to the public this year. Oak Ridge National Laboratories Graphite Reactor, K25. And then we have to remember the public library, the Oak Ridge Room, DOE Information Center, and Explore Oak Ridge all have information. And I can't help but promote Big Ed's, the soda fountain, soup kitchen, Secret City Cafe. Now, I'm going to end with a video on the UPF construction, just to let you see what's happening out at Y12. And this will be, I promise, the last video I'm going to show you.
We're not seeing anything or hearing anything. Just so
Okay,
you know.
sorry. Thank you for telling me. Let me figure out what I did wrong. Let's get out of that. Go go back to this. Now you're seeing that, right?
See you.
No, we're
You're-
just seeing gallery view.
Okay,
Not
wait,
hearing
wait,
anything.
wait just a second. Wait just a second. Got that. So I got to share the screen. All right, share screen. Get this. Get this. All right. Now get that. All right. Now you see it.
Okay, now we got it.
Well, I
Yes, we
learned
can see
today.
it
I'm
and hear
sorry.
it.
You guys are so patient. Thank you. Okay. You all have been a really good audience. I appreciate you staying with me and helping me through showing the videos. And we will be here at the same time next week using the same link for a recurring meeting. So thank you all so much. Let's see.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
Will you be giving tours this summer? Yes, as soon as we can get available and people are interested in tours, we will be doing it. And you'll be learning about the bus tours through the American Museum of Science and Energy. They're trying to figure out how to do those now. And last time I talked to them, they didn't know what they were going to be. But I am recording these presentations each week, and I will provide a link to that. So thank you again for joining me, and I'm sorry I've run over just a couple of minutes. Enjoy your day.
Ray.
All right.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Ray.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.